Well, this is amazing news, guys, for the United States and for Donald Trump. The United States possibly will be undergoing a territorial expansion, with the acquisition of Greenland coming within the next few years. Greenland leader calls for independence from Denmark in the wake of Trump's recent comments. And so, what does this mean? Well, it means Denmark's lost all their leverage. Now, I originally said when people were saying, well, it's going to cost trillions of dollars to buy Greenland if you factor everything in, why don't Trump and the United States just go to the people of Greenland and all of their infrastructure problems, dealing with the cold, the power outages, it's negative temperatures, even on the coast in Greenland, it gets really bad with the wind chill. And Denmark cannot supply adequate aid to help these people. They also have a big problem when it comes to unemployment. If you're Trump, why not just go to the people of Greenland and say, we can make an investment into your land and into your area to really improve your quality of life along the coast, because that's where everyone lives in Greenland. The middle of Greenland is just a glacier. So they've lost all their leverage. Now the leader of Greenland's coming out saying, no, we want to be independent. And you would think if they, if there's any type of negotiation with Denmark, imagine Trump going to the people of Greenland now, knowing this, Denmark losing all their leverage. You could say your people don't even, they want to be independent already. Denmark's doing nothing with Greenland as is. If you're NATO, it doesn't even make sense for Denmark to control Greenland. You would much rather the United States, as long as the United States stays in NATO. If the United States stays in NATO and you are the European members, the European countries that are in NATO, you want the United States to have control of Greenland, or at least protection over Greenland, to prevent any type of Eastern threat from interacting with Greenland. Although based off of where it's located, it would probably not happen. But this is for security. It's just like Canada, but Canada's a different story because there's a lot more people. There's only 50,000 people in Greenland. That's why taking it over, or at least buying it, is very realistic in my opinion. I think the Panama Canal is also realistic for different reasons. The Panama Canal was built by the United States, and we've had history there to where we controlled the area. Greenland would be brand new for us, but it's been talked about numerous times. Trump is not the first president to bring it up. This has been talked about for over 100 years, the United States buying Greenland. But now the price might have just went a lot lower for Denmark. I mean, they've got no leverage if this is true. If Greenland wants to be independent, it'd be one thing if Denmark had a great relationship with Greenland and the people of Greenland really like Denmark and how they helped it, but it's not the case at all. And there's huge problems within Greenland, and the United States can help. The United States has the money to do it, and it would be better for everyone. It'd be better for NATO, the United States, to secure Greenland, keep the people there safe, and we're going to be getting some significant natural resources that are all going to the United States. And once the glacier ice peels back, it's going to be trillions of dollars in natural resources, and it's going to be amazing for Trump and his legacy. And this is why Trump really wants to do it. It's why Trump brought it up in 2019. And all these, I mean, anytime you talk about this, Greenland just get, or excuse me, Denmark just gets so angry. They're like, it's not happening. Well, Greenland doesn't even like Denmark. We can see right here their independence. So they don't have a good relationship, which gives the United States extreme leverage. And if Greenland were to be independent, they don't have the military to defend themselves. So it would require the United States to come in and say, listen, we're going to make a huge investment. We'll do a deal with you. We're not giving Greenland any or Denmark anything. Now, this is if they do get independence, but even if you have to negotiate with Denmark, Denmark loses all their leverage because they're the own people that they're ruling over in Greenland. They don't even like them. Now, they're not even ruling over them. Greenland is basically its own country, but it is owned still by Denmark, which is kind of a similar thing with the United States. But the United States would be a lot more hands-on. It would be a territory. They would not vote. There wouldn't be two senators. There wouldn't be a governor. When a territory becomes a state, there's different parameters that it has to meet, and Greenland just doesn't have the population for it. Now, maybe in the future it could. And by the way, that would be bringing in a new time zone. I think maybe two new time zones. That would be maybe 0 UTC. It's just something like that. It's right along the edge. But either way, this is good news for the United States. This is good news for Trump. This gives the U.S. negotiating power over Denmark if they want to try and salvage a deal. Because right now it seems like Greenland says, you're not going to get anything. We're just going to be independent. We don't like you. You're doing nothing. Our infrastructure is crumbling and failing because of the winters, and you won't invest any money to help us. And we have a terrible unemployment problem as well. And as you can see, this was a quote from the Prime Minister of Greenland. This was about a week ago, I believe, this quote, saying, Greenland is ours. We are not for sale and will never be for sale. We must not lose our long struggle for freedom. I mean, it makes no sense. You're owned by Denmark. See, I could understand if Greenland was, it's just an independent country. But to say we're not going to lose the struggle for free, you're not free. Technically, you're owned by Denmark. So that makes no sense what he's saying there. That was on the 22nd, right after Trump. I mean, Trump's been tweeting out stuff about acquiring the canal, acquiring Canada, and also Greenland. But Greenland, I think, is the most realistic. And people saying, well, it's not going to happen. There's no way Denmark would sell it. I mean, at this point, if they do become independent, Greenland becomes independent for their own security, the United States is going to have to come, and we have no choice. We're going to have to annex them diplomatically. It's a diplomatic process, and we're going to improve the quality of life there in Greenland, and we're going to help these people out because they're not getting help right now from Denmark. And we can see that, I mean, what's going on? They're trying to get their own independence, and I mean, they're not going to be independent under the United States. They're going to be a territory, and they're going to be able to live the same way. It's not going to be a problem, but this is something that has to happen for the United States, for our future, and some great natural resources. There's no doubt about it. But you have to kind of say, well, Trump's like, oh, it's national security. And yes, there are important shipping lanes that are becoming more and more important with the changing the climate. It's not just that, it's really a lot of Arctic land. That's why Trump's talking about like Canada and those upper areas, those upper Northwest territories in Canada. Trump's like, yeah, we got to start taking some of these areas. We have no choice. We have to do it. I mean, it's for the future. It's important. But no, I mean, with Greenland, we have no choice. We're left with no choice. We have to protect Greenland. That's what Trump's going to say. Really, we want the natural resources. But the shipping lanes are important. The shipping lanes are important. And listen, getting more land, the territory, an expansion, a military footprint in the Arctic, definitely something the United States, I'm sure, would love to do. And so, they can say, well, we're not for sale. We must not lose our freedom. You're not free. Your own, and maybe this is them trying to be independent. If they do become independent, and they don't want to join the United States, we're going to have to protect them by annexing them. It's for their own safety. For their own safety, we're going to be annexing them as a territory, and it's going to be really good. And it's all a diplomatic process. And if China uses it to invade Taiwan, it's not the same. That's not the same at all. We'd be buying the country. Well, I mean, the only problem is if Greenland becomes independent and says we're not selling to the United States, we'd have to go in and impose ourselves. You don't want to do that. We want to this is an Arctic thing. We want to do this very, very peacefully. It'll be done peacefully. Maybe they've lost their leverage. We'll be able to negotiate with Denmark. And I said, listen, $25 or $30 billion in a payment plan. And then you've got these people, no, it's going to be $3 trillion. Well, how is Denmark going to get $3 trillion? They're not even liked by the people of Greenland. So I don't know how they're going to get $2 trillion out of the United States. That's not happening. The experts, Greenland is worth $1 to $2 trillion. Do you know how, it's really hard to put a price on like an area of land because you can't, it's a priceless asset because of the value of it with, the strategical footprint that you can get. But if you just take a look at the natural resources, it's not easy to extract those. It costs a lot of money, and a lot of them are buried beneath a lot of ice. So it's not the easiest thing in the world. So that's why I said, $25 to $30 billion, take it or leave it. You've got no leverage, or we're just going to have to occupy the country with a special military operation. No, I'm kidding. You don't say that. But so I think Trump will end up doing it. It's going to be diplomatic. I would say, listen, Denmark, you've got no leverage. You still have Greenland. You're losing it. Greenland wants to be independent. Why don't you just sell it to us? We'll give you some money, and we will go from there. Because you've lost all your leverage in this negotiation because the people of Greenland don't even want to be ruled by you. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.